There you go. Okay, friends, I had the best darn time in Newton yesterday. Yeah, for their first annual. Yeah, let it be written. I was at their very first annual Oktoberfest Fall Festival on Spring Street. Spring Street's kind of, it's sort of like, Spring Street in Newton is kind of like Sussex County's answer to Greenwich Village. Yeah, it's kind of the hip street. Yeah. What was the Orleans fancy street? South Street, right? South Street. Well, they should have done one about Spring Street, and it could have been about that lovely street in Newton, New Jersey. It was. They. We were just having the best time. The town put together, thanks to a young lady within the, with who works with the town fathers there, works for the town, Kimberly, and I guess her staff and many, many others, I'm sure, way too numerous to mention, but they they had this fall festival, Oktoberfest, kind of like a street fair and car show all at once. We had about 20 cars come in rather nicely, I thought. We had some beauties. We actually had almost the whole automobile cast of Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, we had the General Lee. We had Sheriff Coltrane's right, Sheriff Deputy Coltrane's his police car. I don't think we had I don't think Boss Hogg's car was there, but other than that. In fact, they even had on the one police car from Hazard County, they had a stuffed basset hound, well, a toy stuffed basset hound, not a real stuffed basset, yeah. And people were just going ape. In fact, I think it was the General Lee got the trophy. I think it did. Wonderful car. And we were just, I don't know, there was a friend of mine came by in an old motorcycle with a sidecar. He was in on the thing. There was so many cars. More than enough. Used to be, I did a cruise night on Spring Street, 8 or 9 years ago. This, though, worked out nicely. The show, the cars were kind of on one end of Spring Street, and all the various vendors and information tents were a little further up, so neither one got in anyone's way. It was kind of nice. All the restaurants were ready and open. There's a vintage diner. I didn't get to go. My records are too short to go running into a place to get something cooked up to eat, but I imagine I could have sent word that I would have liked a cheeseburger or something. But yeah, the thing, I was okay. But I was looking at it thinking, boy, I got to go there someday. And I think a lot of folks were doing that. You know, they were visiting the shops, and I know they'll be back. The street is really set up nicely. There's even a vintage vinyl record store on Spring Street. In fact, I was set up under the marquee at the Newton Theater. I can now say I played the Newton Theater. Yes, of course I was outside on the sidewalk, but I played. I played. If you're under the marquee, that counts. Or does it? I don't know. Well, but I noticed across the street and up just a little, there was a guy selling vintage vinyl. Yeah, records. And I was just having a ball thinking, I'd love to go over there and take a look. He closed by the time I was done, or I would have gone over. But I noticed on the marquee for the Newton Theater that Gary Lewis and the Playboys was going to be there soon. And so I started looking for some of their songs in the piles of records I brought, and I didn't have anything. So you know what I did? I hollered. I saw the guy was kind of standing out front of his shop, watching the world go by, waiting for customers and all. And I said, I wonder if that vintage vinyl store over there has Gary Lewis and the Playboys album. Boy, if he did, I'd be glad to play it and then give it back to you if you got one. And the guy put his hand up. He went, 1 minute. And he goes in, comes out, and hands over this, Gary Lewis and the Playboys' greatest hits. And so I played a couple and gave it back to him, but he was tickled. People were very impressed he could find it so fast. So was I. And long story short, a little later in the day, someone came by, a young couple came by and said, "Hey, boy, Gary Lewis and the Playboys, do you remember them?" I said, "Well, heck yeah. In fact, I even introduced them at a show once, an oldie show." And they said, "Wow, you actually met them?" I said, "Yeah, he's a nice guy. Jerry Lewis's son, and a great drummer, singer. Yeah, yeah, nice guy." And I said, if they said, "Gosh, you use vinyl, you play records." I said, "Well, yeah, why not?" And they said, "Well, yeah, I guess you're right. We collect them." I said, "Well, you want to go over to that store over there?" And I pointed out the store. They went in. Oddly enough, they came out and showed me what they bought. The record that record store owner, record store owner lent me. I said, "Gosh, I played that record." "Yeah, you can say you got something that was in my collection, at least for 5 minutes." And they were just tickled. Nice couple. There was so many people just having similar stories, or would have similar stories to tell today about their trip to Spring Street. And again, Kimberly, the young lady that was running this, was doing a fine job. Oh gosh, just so nice. And her and her husband, and I guess her staff, they had everything covered. It was just so cool. And the Newton Theater, they were nice enough because, well, first off, now and then, well, they were nice enough to, give me a power cord. They had an outlet inside the theater, so they opened the door a little bit, and we found a spot where we could snake a wire through. So they gave me the power. If I needed the restroom, and being old, I quite often do. They were nice enough to open the door, let me in real quick, and out, and they showed me the theater. What a beautiful theater! Oh my God! Oh, have they got themselves a gem? I mean, honestly, friends, I remember going there as a kid to the movies, and it wasn't as nice as what you see now. I mean, it's state of the art, just wonderful concert venue. I've never been to a show there, but I've run into people that have gone, and they say, "Wow, just super." So I was kind of tickled, and I certainly thank the staff there. There was a lady that was walking up and down the street. She came by early in the day, but she came passing by every now and then. I thought she was, someone who came dressed in vintage clothes, as part of the show. And it turns out she's a resident of Newton, lovely young lady, and she likes to dress old-fashioned. So I would say she was dressed in what would have been a very, very nice party dress. I'm thinking of the 40s. Yeah, I'd say the early 40s. And she had everything she needed for, to just look exactly like she was from that era. And I played a few songs. She danced a bit. Yeah. And, it was, I don't know, everybody was just so nice. They had the Newton police doing the traffic control and, keeping an eye on things. But there was no trouble to be had. They were grinning from ear to ear. And just turned out I know some of them are, some of the police there are related to friends of mine. And it was like old home week. Oh, it was just so cool. I forgot my table. In my rush to get out, I forgot that I needed a table. So I'm trying to set up my records under the marquee, my equipment under the marquee at the Newton Theater. And oh my God, I don't have a table. And I go running over to Kimberly. I said, "Kimberly, no table." I said, "You got one?" And she says, "Well, no, but wait a minute. It says my husband does. And if he hasn't left the house." And she gets on her cell phone, calls him. Next thing you know, here comes her husband. "Yeah," he said, "I got the table for you, Doc. Don't worry." And it was just, every problem seemed to get handled just nicely. And it was just so much fun. I would also say this, as I was driving around Newton, and I often do, one way or another, but I would suggest this. One day you go to Newton, you park your car somewhere, they have municipal lots, and just walk around the place and look at the architecture. Newton's been around for a long, long time. I think actually was incorporated as a town in the 1860s, and I think it's older than that. As a settlement, if nothing else. And they have such beautiful old buildings that people are still living in. Some mansions, some simple homes. Some of the buildings, especially I think on Spring Street, are quite old. The square is could just as well be out in Pennsylvania. They got the Civil War soldier, and they have the old courthouse there you can look at, I think is near the square. You get the idea. It's one beautiful old town, much like many of the towns in northwestern Jersey, but really a treat. Lots of restaurants, so you will not leave hungry. In fact, there's a guy does a little bit north of town, has these, I think he does deep fried hot dogs. Yeah, oh man, yes indeed. So all in all, it's one of those great towns, and I had an absolute ball. I can't thank him enough. Kimberly, if you're watching this, thank you. All the guys from the Newton Theater, and I thank you. And everyone who came out, man, it was just neat. About the loudest thing that happened wasn't me. Evidently, the guys that brought the General Lee took it out of muffler mode. In other words, put its exhaust system in race mode, and they told me to warn everybody that it was going to be loud. And I knew if they're pulling off the muffler to fire it up, yeah, look out. And don't have a quiche in the oven within 5 miles of the place. And they ran it for about 10 seconds. And my God, you'd have thought a bomb went off. Oh my God. And the kids loved it. Oh, kids were dancing around, yelling and hollering. And yeah, it was cool. Okay. Yeah, my ears still kind of, but no, all in all, it was a great day. I don't think you could have had more fun if you tried. Really, really. Anyway, again, thank you. And boy, count me in for Fall Festival #2. I'll tell you, I'm ready. In fact, heck with that. Let's have a spring festival and a summer festival. We could probably get me a snowmobile suit. We'll have a winter festival. Doggone, that was all right. Okay. Anyway, thank you, friends. And thank you, Newton. It was really cool.